Attends. Droit devant, là, à côté du... T'as vu Netanyahou? J'ai pas vu encore. Non, c'est pas là. Allez, on se calme.
Des gros plans, Véro.
We'll get to your thoughts in just a minute. The phone lines are open. Front page of the New York Times this morning with the headline, "Huge show of solidarity in Paris against terrorism." Liz Alderman's piece from Paris, she reports that more than 1 million people joined over 40 presidents and prime ministers on Sunday in the most striking show of solidarity in the West against the threat of Islamic extremism since the September 11th attacks. Responding to terrorist strikes that killed 17 people in France and riveted worldwide attention, Jews, Muslims, Christians, atheists, and people of all races, ages, and political stripes swarmed central Paris beneath a bright blue sky, calling for peace and an end to violent extremism. The Interior Minister described the demonstration as the largest in modern French history, with as many as 1.6 million people. Many waved the tricolor French flag and brandished pens and raised fists to commemorate those killed Wednesday in an attack on the satirical newspaper Charlie Hebdo, as well as 4 others killed at a Jewish supermarket on Friday. Thousands hoisted black and white signs bearing 3 words that have ricketed through social media: "I am Charlie," in French. So we're getting your thoughts on that this morning, this unity march in Paris. What did you make of the world leaders that showed up and marched arm in arm? The Richmond Times-Dispatch this morning, their piece, they feature the Washington Post on their front page of their newspaper. And they report that an estimated 4 million people nationwide, more than a third of them in Paris, mobilized with sister demonstrations of support erupting from Ramallah, a Palestinian city on the West Bank, to Sydney, Australia, and to Washington. Solidarity in Paris. Take a look at that picture. Those gathering in central Paris to honor the 17 victims of last week's terrorist attacks. USA Today, their front page this morning, they posed this question: who represented the United States yesterday? President Obama was not at Sunday's rally in Paris. Instead, the U.S. was represented by Ambassador to France, Jane Hartley, Attorney General Eric Holder, and Deputy Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas are in Paris to discuss security with French officials, but they did not attend that march. The White House had no official comment on President Obama's absence. Since the attacks on the newspaper Charlie Hebdo and the kosher supermarket, Obama has called French President Francois Hollande to pledge U.S. help and solidarity. U.S. agencies such as the CIA, National Security Agency, have also been working with France. Traditionally, U.S. presidents avoid large-scale gatherings such as the one Sunday in Paris because of the difficulty in providing security. Secretary of State John Kerry, who often represents Obama at such events, was in India in advance of the president's visit there that's coming up. What are your thoughts on this? Joseph in Providence, an independent. Good morning to you, Joseph. You're up first.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to talk to C-SPAN for a minute. How can you go away to Paris and televise something over there in Paris, and then we had a riot in New York? And what's called, you didn't have nothing about the riots in New York and Ferguson. See, and then you got independence. You never had independence on top of the Democrats and the Republicans. See, you talking about y'all equal opportunity. This is not equal opportunity. This is bullshit.
All right, that was Joseph in Providence, Rhode Island. That images you were seeing were not C-SPAN cameras over in Paris yesterday. But we are getting your thoughts on the world leaders gathering there. What do you make of those that attended? President Obama was not there. The Wall Street Journal, Carol Lee, has the piece about his absence, and she reports that a senior administration official noted the presence of Mr. Holder and the Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security. The official also pointed to several public statements from Mr. Obama and extensive collaboration behind the scenes between the French and the U.S. governments. As recently as Friday, Mr. Obama said France is America's oldest ally and pledged to offer any needed assistance. He also spoke on the phone with Mr. Hollande and visited the French embassy in Washington last week. Victoria Nuland, an assistant secretary of state, attended a march in Washington. President Obama nor Mr. Biden, vice president, had public events scheduled yesterday. Mr. Obama was at the White House while Mr. Biden was at his home in Delaware. As has been the case in past events that Mr. Obama has declined to